Another Real Talk show with Susan Kariuki starts now. Real talk on real issues for real change. Get ready to listen to what nobody else dares to talk about. Welcome to the Real Talk show with Susan Kariuki.
Liza Wisner, you are one who does not need any introduction at all because people know you. I know you have a very busy schedule and lots of work to do. So first and foremost, I want to ask you how you are doing. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. The show just ended a few days ago. So for me, it's been a whirlwind. It's been a roller coaster ride. And I'm actually glad to be at this point when it's all come together and I'm finally able to see where my future is going to lead and the impact I'm going to make on my passions.
Okay. And so when did you return back to Kenya? I know that you had recently gone there.
I came back on the Sunday after Thanksgiving. I had work the next day on Monday, and so I pretty much took that week of Thanksgiving off, went home, visited my family, and as a result, it just went from visiting family to another world, and had to be back to work on Monday. So yeah, it was a short visit.
Okay, let's talk about Kenya for a minute.
Okay.
You did a fantastic job there.
Thank you. And I appreciate that.
Let me tell you something, Liza. Lisa, I always call you Liza for some reason.
That's okay. It's Liza Minnelli, you know. She's the most famous one. So I do not feel at all. You can call me Liza. That's fine.
Yeah, and we were at one point arguing with a friend of mine, and she said, no, she says Lisa. And I said, no, it's Liza. So we went back and forth. But anyway, your reception to Kenya was fantastic. People welcomed you with song and dance.
You know, my flight came in, British Airways, at midnight. You know, it was like 12:35 at night, and I'm thinking, oh gosh, it'll just be my mom, my sister. When I got out and I was checking my baggage, I was like, oh my God, there was these women singing, and they were dressed in traditional Kikuyu attire. I was just like, oh my God, you know. I had no idea that it was going to be this huge, like, celebration of me coming home, you know. It just really opened my eyes to the fact that, you know, when you really do something that you're passionate about and when you're working hard, you know, other people see that and your happiness is their happiness too. So I was so excited. Okay,
because we saw a lot of people, were there people you did not know?
Yes, there was a lot of people I didn't know. There were a lot of people there. In fact, I mean, I guess the footage just kind of shows a little bit of the people there, but we stayed out there at the airport for like an hour, just singing and dancing, you know, all the old songs, you know, from back in the day, from when I remember when I was young at my grandma's house in Shags, and just all of them were singing, and we were all dancing and singing, and then there was tons of people. Of course, the media was there as well. Totally unexpected. I did not expect there to be so many people. And so for me, it was more of a wow, you know, it's midnight and people are here, you know, to welcome me to the country. So it was just amazing. It was very, very humbling. I just felt like, wow, you know, people should be asleep and they're here with me. So it was exciting.
And one of the things that I also wanted to ask you is, did you know that you have gained so much popularity in Kenya? When did it actually hit you?
It hit me when I got to the airport because, like, honestly, here in the U.S., I guess people are used to celebrities, and so even in Corpus Christi, you know, I mean, I go to the grocery store and every now and again somebody says, hey, you're Lisa from The Apprentice, but not like in Kenya, you know? When I got there, it was crazy. I had no idea, you know, the magnitude of the impact that this show and my participation in it had made. And it really compelled me to just keep doing more. Like, I was just going to make a few visits and just really understand what impact I wanted to make with my new organization. And I told my sister, I can't make any decisions if I haven't come and seen, because I'm more of a kind of like a hands-on kind of person. I really have to understand what it is. You can't just tell me. And so when I saw the passion and I saw the support, I just felt like, gosh, we have to do more. We really have to do more. So I made sure to visit more places. And, yeah, it just went from a small visit to a big visit. So it was exciting.
Was Kenya actually watching The Apprentice just as on a weekly basis like we were here?
They kind of were. My family, in fact, from the moment they found out I was going to be on the show, they started figuring out how they were going to be able to watch it. So obviously the first thing they did was pitch to all the media houses, you know, you need to buy The Apprentice, you know, and of course that's not possible because, of course, the NBC here in America will be the only one showing it at that time. So that didn't work. And so they went on and looked for other technologies, and they found something called the Sling Box. And the Slingbox actually just was so helpful because you can watch it through the internet. You can watch the broadcast of American TV over the internet and watch it in Kenya. So they would host viewing parties every Friday morning, which is Thursday evening for us, and they would watch The Apprentice. So if you knew somebody who worked because my brother works for Google, he's the office lead for Sub-Saharan Africa, and so if you knew somebody who worked at Google, then you got to watch The Apprentice that night.
Oh, okay. Fantastic.
Yeah.
You have two boys, Zalik
Yes.
and Zamar.
Yes, I do.
And first and foremost, how are they doing?
They're doing fantastic. In fact, right before you called, we were working on laundry, and then we're putting together the train set, because every Christmas we pull out the train set and we put it around the Christmas tree. So, yeah, that's what we were putting together. So they're doing fantastic. It's just amazing to have them.
How old are they?
4 and 2 years old. 4 years old and 2. Zalik is 4 and Zamar is 2.
Okay. And then you'll obviously have your husband, Mr. Wisner.
Yes, and now he's taken over. They're doing the train while I'm doing this interview. So it's sort of exciting in our house because they're really young and they get excited about everything. So we get to be kids again around them. So it's really neat.
Okay, in a little while we'll be talking about your foundations, your organizations, what you're doing in Kenya, and I think that's very important. While you were away doing The Apprentice, how long are you away from your family?
It was about a 6-week process because including the time for auditions and interviews with Mr. Trump, that process of just even getting on the show was a long process. It wasn't just a 1-minute thing where they just tell you, okay, you've made it on the show. We actually spent over a week in California interviewing and debating and just different things to kind of, I guess, the process of elimination to find the final 16. And so I was gone for about a week, a little bit over a week from my family for that. And then as soon as they decided who the cast was, we were away for about 5 weeks.
Any communication with your family at all? Are you allowed to do that?
We were allowed to, but it was very limited because they took our phones away. They took our internet. We didn't have our computers or anything. In fact, they went as far as taking our driver's license, and they would just give it to us in the morning and take it away from us in the evening after task. So any communication was really on their terms. And unfortunately, because of the nature of the game, we would get home really late, like at 11 o'clock, midnight sometimes. And the time difference here in Texas is like 1 o'clock in the morning by the time I could call. So the times that I talked to them were very limited, mostly on the weekends. I knew the work I was doing there. And so for me, it was really the drive of knowing who I've left at home that really made me push through it all.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. And so when you're given a task and you guys are out there in teams battling it out, is it the same way as we see it week to week? There's a new task. Is it that fast? Does it work like that? Or are you guys given any time to chill out before you can, do another task?
No, and it's exactly what you're seeing. There's no time for any messing around. We're given a task and you're given, like Mr. Trump would do the task delivery, and then we go downstairs and they tell us everything there is about the task, because obviously Mr. Trump can't tell us every single detail. And what the viewers don't understand is when they see us doing some things, and I never used to understand it either, there's a lot of limitations to what we can do, where we can go. And so a lot of the tasks, there's time when they tell us the actual details and the rules, because it is competing and we have to follow the rules. So we go through that, and as soon as that is done, literally the task starts at that moment. As soon as they have finished reading the rules, the task starts. And there's no time to even figure out, what are we doing? Like, what is this? Google search, nothing. It's just get in and get it done.
Okay. So more about The Apprentice will come up in a little bit here. Let's talk about you and your passion and what it is that you represent. I know that you have a full-time job as an associate director of elite graduate programs at Texas A&M University, Corpus Christi.
Yes, I'm the associate director over there. And I love my job. In fact, what we do is graduate student retention services. So we do anything from funding our students to do fellowship opportunities, graduate assistantships. Anybody who's gone to grad school completely understands what it's like to have support. You really need that support, especially because you can't really sometimes hold down a full-time job while you're going through your master's. And so we do a lot of support for our students, and we have an iPad usability study where we give our students iPads, and they just have to tell us how they're using it, and travel funding. So for me, my work at the university is very important because as a graduate student, I really went through my graduate program not having that kind of a support. And so when our program was initiated and then I came on as associate director, it was important for me to really provide that opportunity that I didn't have and help our students succeed.
Mm-hmm. And was that position already there while you were going to school? You said that you didn't have that opportunity to have, that type of a support system within the university.
Yeah, in fact, what our program is a grant that we got from the U.S. Department of Education. It's a $2.8 million grant that we got about 2 years ago. And at that time, before we got the grant, I was the program coordinator for our computing sciences department, which meant that I was handling all computer science, engineering, and GIS programs, all their grants, managing all the programming that was going on in that department. And when the grant came on board, it was really the perfect fit for me because it was everything that I had worked on. In my experience at the university, I had worked in graduate programs before. In fact, I was their marketing and liaison between on-campus and off-campus activities before I became program coordinator. So my position as program coordinator and a system support specialist for graduate programs really tied into me becoming the associate director for this new program.
Fantastic. I can see how you got it because, oh my God, you speak quite fast and very articulate. I have to tell you that.
Thank you very much. And sometimes I have to slow myself down because I'm in a lot of situations where I have a lot of things going on. I mean, we're talking about my full-time job that I absolutely love, but I also have my business. Then I have my kids. And I have my family. My sister actually lives here in Corpus Christi with me, and so she lives just down the road. And it's just interesting to me because my mind, I always feel like from the moment I wake up, when people say that at 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, they're kind of feeling that 3 o'clock, they need that 5-hour energy kind of pill. And for me, I just feel like my life never ever gets to the point where I need that pill. I have to be on the go all the time, and I just feel like sometimes I have to slow myself down. So when you said I speak fast, I'm like, yeah, I know that. I need to slow myself down because sometimes I just keep going.
You know what? It's nice actually because it means that you're a fast thinker.
Yes.
And you're thinking in the moment. You're there. You're there and you're in that moment. You're thinking on your feet, and that's great. Now, you said your sister is Annie?
Yes, Annie, my little sister Annie.
Okay, you know what? Mm-hmm. Did she at one time sing the national anthem at the Hooks game?
Oh my gosh, let me tell you, this sister of mine has a voice like no other. I have just never heard anybody who can sing like her. Like, I kid you not. I've been to live shows and I've seen the concerts and, I've been to all these different people, but when my sister sings, and I am not being biased because she's my sister, I am being honest, when she sings, it's just amazing. And I tell myself all the time, that's my sister, She's actually been told by the president of our local baseball team that anytime she wants to sing, she has a 100%, agreement with them that she can sing whenever she wants to go sing the national anthem. They would not put her on a list or anything. She can just go sing because they love her that much. And to get that kind of, response just from your voice is amazing, And I keep telling her she needs to do something with it because she has a passion for teaching children too, and she actually manages my business for me. But it's just amazing how she can just sing, and she just opens her mouth and just sings, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot put notes together for anything, and she just sings. It's amazing.
It was a little bit weird for me because the moment I was reading about you and then all of a sudden I'm seeing a girl singing the national anthem here at Corpus Christi, I'm assuming, and you guys look alike, very much so. In fact, I was wondering whether it was you or your sister.
That's funny. A lot of people say that. In fact, when she first came here to Corpus Christi, everybody thought we were twins. And we even got to the point where we were like, forget it, we're twins. And when people would ask, we'd be like, yeah, we're twins. We just acted like we were twins the whole time. It was just hilarious when we would tell people. They couldn't believe that we're actually 2 years apart.
Well, I guess I can't wait for the next American Idol. She does have to go and represent us. And honestly, if you really believe in her, then push her and make sure that she goes.
I have been pushing her. In fact, we've been to an American Idol audition. And to be honest, it's reality TV, and American Idol is reality TV. So some of the times, it's really, they're looking for certain kind of people. And so I think that might be some of it, because her voice is just undeniably, the best voice that I have ever heard. And it's just a talent. It's not anything manufactured. It is a talent. She has not gone for 100 singing lessons or anything. It's nothing like that. It's just her. It's just her. And it's just amazing that she's my sister. I love it. Every event here in Corpus Christi, everybody goes, okay, and Annie can sing? Everything. Every agenda, they're like, okay, and when's Annie singing? It's just everything is about her singing. So it's great. It's really been great.
That's very good. And I had to throw that out there because I know it was either you or her who were singing, and I couldn't tell who it was. So
it was her.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Okay. Yeah. And then you are the founder. Let's talk about the foundations that you founded.
Okay.
Texas Techies Organization, and is that how you pronounce it, Techies?
Yes, Texas Techies Organization. And it's so interesting how the name came up. I started, like I keep telling everybody, when I started my business, I never actually started it as thinking it's going to become a business. It was more of a hobby. It was something that I was helping my kids' school because I felt, wow, they really need to incorporate technology into the learning because I have a master's degree in education and technology. My kids are using it at home. I completely understand the impact it can make for the entire school. And so I thought, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to spend my evenings going to the school and helping them out. And I loved calling the kids little techies, and they were my super techies if they did better, and I thought, oh, okay, then when it became a business, I thought, oh, we're in Texas techies, So it really just came off of a love for just helping, and so I love the name because it reminds me of sitting in my, kitchen room table, just loving hearing the kids say that they're little techies, and when I call them super techies and their faces light up, it's just amazing. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And you also have Technology Education Advocacy Organization. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
And it's really Texas Techies that's exactly what we do is we do technology education advocacy, and that basically means that we speak up for technology, incorporation of technology and education into the curriculum in the school. We really have seen a lot of data, and there's just so much support showing how technology integration can support a child's, confidence and ability to really learn and achieve to their fullest potential. Because technology does not discriminate, first of all, and it'll help the teachers teach all the kids at the level that they can succeed at. Sometimes in schools, and I've experienced it with my children, the teachers teach at the level of the child who's the slowest. Mm-hmm. If that child who's the slowest doesn't know their ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, well, then all the kids are going to have to start doing ABCs, 1, 2, 3s because they don't want to be left behind. And my child was more advanced. In fact, he's in a classroom. He's 4 years old, and he's in a classroom with 6 and 7 years old. And it just shows you what you can do for your own child. If your child is an advanced learner, you don't need to hold them back, and the teacher doesn't need to either. You just need to incorporate technology into the classroom, and the child can be successful.
Okay, I understand that concept, and I think that truly it's fantastic the way you're saying it, but integrating technology into the classroom and identifying every pupil or every child's learning ability. How will you be able to integrate technology into that? I mean, how will it work?
The point isn't that the students are using a computer or they're using any latest device, an iPad or whatever the latest technology that's come out. The point is that we're actually giving them tools for their success. Whether they're learning mathematics, reading, spelling, anything, it's really designed to help the child at their level of learning. So when we're talking about the teacher being empowered to teach the kids better, we're talking about the teacher being able to easily identify a child that needs more help than another. Identifying a child who has special need at an earlier stage when the help can be provided and the child can be more successful because the help was provided at an earlier stage in their learning. There's so many opportunities for the teachers to help the children more if they can identify what the child needs. And what the computer does is it really subtly lets the child know that they're doing a great job, without any sort of, try harder. You know how teachers can sometimes go, okay, little Johnny's doing such a great job. Everybody try hard like little Johnny. That happens a lot. And then you find those children, kind of sitting back and always finding themselves at the point in the class where they are lower than all the other kids who are maybe at a higher level of learning. And what technology really does is it puts those children at a level where they don't feel like they're being categorized as having to try harder or having to do better. The computer actually does not discriminate, and it'll let the teacher know. The student doesn't ever know that they're not doing a good job. It's really the design of the software that we have that is really helping the schools. The schools get a report on, first of all, they get a report on each child, how each child is doing on each specific lesson. And all our lessons are actually aligned with the curriculum that is used in the schools. So the framework is the exact same framework. And our curriculum actually surpasses the guidelines that are set by the Texas Education Agency. So we know we are teaching at a higher level than is actually in the school system itself. And then secondly, the administrators also get a report that shows which teachers are using technology in the classroom. So it'll also tell you which classes are doing better, or if they're doing worse, if they're incorporating technology. So we have a lot of schools that have actually started using the system on a trial basis, and they've seen that it's helping them with their reporting because they can actually identify which teachers are using technology in the classroom, and if they are using technology, they have the data to show that the kids who are using technology in the classroom have better grades than the ones whose teachers are not incorporating it as much in the class. So we don't only provide the lessons to the students, we provide the teachers with tools so that they can make informed decisions, and as well as the administrators, so that they can, put the information together and see how they can make a bigger impact for the kids.
Wow, that sounds great. It sounds like you've already tested it out and seen the impact it has in the classroom. My question is it an original product?
It is an original product. I do have to say that what we have done is, in the past, we would create our own programs, and it got to the point where technology moves faster than you can blink. I mean, as soon as we finished creating a new product, we just found like the latest and the greatest in something else. So right now we're actually working at developing our own software, but what we have is actually a great mix of different softwares. We completely understand that you cannot have the best of everything in one software. So for our reading and our spelling program, it's a different program. For our math program, it's different. Animation, it's completely different. And it's all incorporated in the curriculum that we have. So our model is really what we sell. We sell a great model with great teachers who are certified technology teachers, and then we also incorporate technology terms in all our lessons. So the kids know at 3 years old the difference between a laptop and a desktop. They know what satellites are. They know what hotspots are. They know all these terms that we use on a regular basis. They understand them, and so when they're in the home talking, they can impress their parents, by knowing these high-tech terms. But at the same time, we understand that we have to always stay ahead of the game. So we're constantly researching and discovering new ways that we can help the kids by incorporating new technologies that have come out. A lot of universities have actually started developing software off of grants that they've gotten from, for example, like the National Science Foundation. They provide a lot of funding, federal funding for researching advanced ways to teach with gaming. And we use software from Carnegie Mellon. They've developed software that we're using. We use software from a lot of different areas. In fact, I don't know if you know, but Thailand, their country has implemented a program where the entire country has a policy that every child should have access to technology integration in the classroom. And to me, that just speaks volumes. It shows that they completely understand what it is. And one of the programs that they're using and they've made mandatory is one of the ones we use. And so it's really innovative, and it's the way of the future. And I constantly, when I do presentations, I constantly tell people, I'm like, you just have to try it out for yourself. I'm not here to convince you. I'm here to give you a free trial. And you try it out for yourself, and you tell me if you love it. And I have not once had a person say, I do not want this product. Never. I have never had a person who's ever said that. And it's the model that we sell, and it's the package. It's the entire package that we sell.
Okay. It sounds very good. In fact, you just sold me on it, based on how you're talking about it. I personally don't have children, but, I really would like my child to actually be involved in a place where, their learning ability and the technology is actually being introduced to them while they are very young. Because like you say, and during one interview you had, I believe you had an interview with NTV and also a press briefing in Kenya, you said that technology integration is the only way to go.
It is. It really is. And it's really because I strongly believe every child needs education, right? We all know that every child needs basic education. But basic education is one thing. Quality education is another thing. And incorporating technology into the curriculum is really making it quality education. Why not use the tools that are out there? Why not give the teachers the upper hand and give them the tools so that they can help the kids and really not feel like they're struggling? How my husband's actually a teacher. So he goes through this all the time, He tells me about all the reports he has to do and how much data he has to collect on all the kids. And it just seems to me like we're in an era where we can automate all this for the teachers so that they can focus on the most important thing, which is being there for the students and being great teachers and not being paper pushers, which is what some of the teachers have become. That's why a lot of good teachers quit, because they start feeling like they're just pushing paper. And it's just great having my husband as part of my team and here at home, because anything that I implement, I always go back and think, okay, would Dennis do this? Would this help my husband in his classroom? And granted, he teaches high school, and our focus is more on middle school and elementary students, but the concepts still translate. It really helps me a lot to have the support and him telling me that, no, you're on the right track, you're doing the right thing, this is what we need. Because this model that I have for elementary and middle school kids can be translated to high school, because we also teach an animation class. And as soon as we have that curriculum and that model ready, we'll roll out with a program for high school kids. So it's just a matter of time before this is a global thing, and this is something that can be implemented, in every school.
Okay, very well said. Was this the business venture that you were in before the recession hit? Because I know that I believe everybody who was part of the participants on the season 10 of The Apprentice was someone who was doing something until the recession actually hit them, and maybe business went downhill.
Before I got on The Apprentice, and I guess before the recession, I still had my full-time job. In fact, before The Apprentice and before the recession, I wasn't the associate director of the elite graduate program. I was the program coordinator for computing sciences department. And it was a really great job. I was very busy managing, 3 huge programs. Engineering is huge, computer science is huge, and GIS is huge in our university. And I loved them. And I also had my business at the same time. So I started my business, and of course, when the recession hit, it's sort of like a trickle-down effect. It really affected the state funding. It affected the school's budgets, because then they got cut. And then it affected my program, because I had a lot of contracts with schools. In fact, I had contracts with the city as well. And of course, if they don't have the funding, the first people to go are the extra. They're not going to cut the actual teachers. They're going to cut the consultation and, the people that they have contracts with. So a lot of my programs were cut. And for me personally, my passion was never ever anything that I felt I was going to make tons of money out of, and it was just a huge success that I never saw coming, so I was just grateful for that. But when the opportunity came to tell my story about how the recession has affected me as a person, I felt it was important to tell that story for a small business, on a small business scale, because it really affected me personally as well, because I felt like my motivation was kind of shot. I felt like, wow, you can do so much hard work, and the bailout plan only helps the big corporate companies. It doesn't care about the little small businesses that will die as a result of the recession. I really felt that. I really felt like I really needed to tell my story. Mm-hmm. And I think when I wrote my story for the Apprentice folks to hear, they really listened, and I'm glad that they did.
Good. And let's talk about Power Up.
Yes.
Well, I think that Power Up is a genius concept. And POWER now stands for a new acronym to me, which is Providing Opportunity Where Everyone Rises Up. And that's what you put together. Talk to me about Power Up.
Power Up actually came to me a year ago. You will not believe this. It's just amazing how things come together. That word just came to me. And my boss at the university, Dr. Laura Rosales, she's amazing. She's just the most amazing woman that I have ever met, and I'm just grateful to know that I have a boss who I think is amazing. She's a real role model for me, and we constantly have conversations on how we can make an impact for girls in the community. We always talk about how we can inspire people, and she's just really that kind of a heart. She has a big heart. And so once we were talking, and I just kind of thought, wouldn't it be great to have an organization that, provides an opportunity, and gives people sort of like a leg up and just shows them that they can do it, even if they see adversities, it's still happening and you can still make it happen, and, you're not in the bottom, you're almost there. And I felt like, wow, we can launch an organization called Power Up. And it's just been sitting there. It's really just been sitting there waiting, I guess, for this time to be launched. And I'm just grateful that all these things have come together for me. I never actually thought I would launch Power Up as an organization on its own. I thought it was going to be a program within Texas Techies, that we would sort of like do a workshop, every now and again, like once a year, do a workshop for young girls and have like a day. In fact, we even talked about it. We talked about it being Power Up, Got Inspired, Girls of Today Inspired. We came up with all these different things what we were going to do, and it was just amazing how the actual name Power Up has really resonated with me to the point where now that I'm at a point where I can launch a global initiative, that it's the one that's come up. And I'm just blessed to know that I had the opportunity to have that name before even The Apprentice. So I know it's even more genuine.
Okay. And so who do you surround yourself with? I mean, it sounds like you bounce ideas with people who are quite motivational, very inspiring people who, you know, probably have a good direction at which you should take.
You know, I've been so blessed, and I think for me, it's really about exactly what you said, surrounding yourself with people who do support you. And I've been so blessed in so many ways to always have been surrounded by great minds and really innovative people. From the moment that I set foot here in the United States, and even before that, to be honest, when I was in Kenya, I've always been surrounded by people who I've always looked up to. And from my bosses to my teachers, I mean, I can tell you name after name after name of somebody who I heard speaking, or I sat in a class with and they lectured one day and inspired me to do something that I thought was fantastic. And later it came out as, wow, it's a university tradition now. There's been a lot of things that I've done now that I look back, and I'm just kind of thinking, wow, you know, I've done great things, but it's not because of me. It's because of the people who have touched my life, and I've seen the work that they have done, and I've thought, wow, you know, if they can do that, I can do, you know, even more, you know, because they taught me. And so I have to say that I've always been blessed with great supervisors, great bosses. They've just always been so supportive in everything, and it's really, it's empowering to know that you can have a conversation with people and they don't judge you as a person. They judge the work that you're doing more than you as a person. They really are just confident that you're a good person and you're just trying to make things work. And I'm just blessed to know that I've been surrounded by great friends. I have a wonderful husband. We talk a lot. In fact, sometimes I think I talk too much to him, you know. He'll be kind of working on his own, and I'll just go over there and go, I was thinking of an idea, and I'll just kind of go on and on and on, and he just sits and listens, and we talk about it, and sometimes we argue about stuff, and, you know, and I think for me, that's the most healthy environment for me, you know, talking about everything, because unless I really believe in the work I'm doing, and I believe that somebody else believes in the work I'm doing, I don't think I can get it done as hard as I can, you know, and so, yeah, I've been blessed to be surrounded by great minds.
Okay, and so would you say that your dad was someone who molded you to who you became?
When my father passed away in 96, I had just graduated high school, and it was at a moment when I didn't even know he was going to pass away. It was just like a huge shock, you know, and I felt like everything has just disappeared and nothing is ever going to come to anything. And I just have to say that, you know, sometimes in life you have to take a step back and kind of realize what's going on and what you want to do. And I took a year off. I actually literally took a year off of doing anything. I stayed home after everybody graduated high school. You know, they go to college or they apply and they go to a different place, the U.S., England, South Africa. They go to different places. And I actually stayed home in Kenya. I got a job working for an internet service providing company, and I played golf. And for me, it was just, I just didn't feel like leaving home, you know. When he passed away, it's sort of like, I don't know, he was always the guy who told everybody what to do, you know. He told you where to go and where to apply to, what the best schools are, and I didn't feel ready to make a good decision. And now that he's passed away and I got time to really think about everything, I realized that he lived his life, even though it was a short life, I feel like he lived a short life. He lived his life to the fullest. I have not met anyone who has, I mean, I'm still today astounded by the number of people that come to me and say that he helped them, you know, and he came to their school and did a harambe, or, you know, he gave them their first job, or he hooked them up with their first job, and or just gave their family, you know, aid when they really needed it, you know, and people who I don't even know, people who are not family members, and it means that he lived a full life. He lived a life impacting lives. Really, it's not about how much money you make, or but at the end of the day, when you die, you know, you don't leave your bank account or, you know, the riches and the businesses that you had. You really leave with the stories that people have to tell about you. Mm-hmm. And I still get stories about my dad. And that's why I really thought of starting the website, because I just kept hearing stories about my dad. And I thought, you know, I need to have a place to put all these things, because I want my kids to hear about this fantastic guy who was their grandfather that they're never going to meet. And I just missed him so much, because, you know, when you right after graduating high school, you're kind of at a time when you're just kind of confused about what major, where to go, and what to do. And I felt like, God, I have lost something that everybody who came before me, because I'm the fifth born. So all my brothers and sisters ahead of me, they had my dad to help them make that decision of college, and the fact that I never had that was tough for me. But I mean, I made it through, and so it kind of shows that you can kind of tell your story from an adversity that could have happened.
Right. Okay. And I understand that because you're talking to someone right now who, to be honest, my dad passed away in 2003. And like you say, I went through the whole shock. It was sudden. It was, wow. I didn't expect it. Nobody really expected it. And so, yes, I also feel like a part of me went downhill at one point. And then all of a sudden you have to kind of wake yourself up and say,
right.
Hello, Susan, what are you doing? And then you just wake up and do your thing. So I really kind of relate to you to some degree on that end.
Yeah. I think it made me stronger. I feel like it's like the light bulb kind of, when he passed away, it's like the light bulb came on a little bit. And it sounds silly because it's like I would do anything to have my dad back, I would actually trade all this craziness, all this amazing stuff to have him back. But, I just kid you not. I don't think I would be the person I am today if that wouldn't have happened, Because, you go through life thinking that you're just this girl and your daddy's girl and he'll take care of you and everything's perfect and, he's going to be there forever. He'll see you get married, have your children. And when that's not going to happen and that's never going to happen, you realize that life is short and you cannot take it for granted. And I work harder every day because I know that nothing is guaranteed. What God gives you is just not guaranteed. He can take it away in 2 seconds. And so I know when I'm working today, I better work as hard as I can because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So for me, it's just more of a blessing that I actually came to that realization.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's the way to go, really, because, you mentioned earlier that one of your mentors is your boss.
Yeah. She's amazing.
Mm-hmm. And you see, I have a similar situation just like yours where I have a mentor. She is fantastic. She's my COO in the company that I work for. She is one inspiring lady. And if she can only take me under her wing, she is very available for anyone who wants to talk to her. She talks about many things such as, integrity and leadership and what you have to be in order for you to actually get the buy-in of people that you want to influence. And so, I definitely really appreciate her myself because of the knowledge and the guidance that she gives me and the rest of the team. And so I somewhat relate to you on that.
Wow.
Yeah. So I understand when you say speaking with great minds, speaking with people who can inspire you and encourage you.
And knowing that they actually care enough to listen and give you a response, And I think for me, it's just everybody needs that. Everybody, even though you think you can be successful on your own, you really can't until you have somebody to bounce ideas off of and mentor, because it's really about just making yourself better. You need a coach. I feel like she's my coach, Sometimes it's like, she's my coach, my life coach.
I understand. And I know you and I can talk a lot about that. Let's talk about you going home and launching Power Up. I saw you go to Kenyatta National Hospital and donate money there.
Yeah.
Tell me, were you actually born at the Kenya National Hospital?
You will not believe this, okay? I was born at Kenyatta National Hospital, and in 1980, I was born there with my mom. And it's funny because my mom, she told me the story about it. She says that, obviously she was pregnant with me, and she was getting ready to have the baby, and then there were like 1 month to go, and then she said no, she wants to go have the baby at Kenyatta National Hospital because back then it was the best maternity ward. It was like the best doctors were there, and so she wanted to go there, so that's where they went to have the baby. But unfortunately, there was actually no beds at that time, and it was at a point where they don't turn people away at all in that hospital. So when she had me, they actually had to sleep on the floor. Can you believe that? Wow. So I was born, and my mom never actually slept in a hospital bed. She was sleeping on the floor at the hospital with me there, and I just felt, wow, that was like 30 years ago, and I went back to that hospital, because I felt like, I told my sister a long time ago, I was like, even after I found out I was born at Kenyatta National Hospital, actually I had never been there. The whole time that I had lived in Kenya, I had never gone back there. I'd never even thought, oh yeah, let me go see that hospital I was born in. I just used to drive past it or take on my 3 and just, I never went in it, and I thought, no, I want to go because I just kind of want to see, where I grew up, because sometimes it's about going back to see where you came from. I was so sad to see that 30 years later, they still have women who have babies and still sleep on the floor.
Wow.
I went there and saw that, and I could not believe it. In fact, my sister and I were so hurt by that because I felt like, gosh, it's been 30 years. I was born. My mom slept on the floor after having me. I've had 2 boys. I can't imagine having a baby and then being told that you're sleeping on the floor. I just feel like I have to do something, and my sister and I, Annie, we're actually working on an initiative right now, and this is completely separate from Power Up. I mean, it could be part of Power Up, but it's just a personal thing right now, and we're trying to figure out a way to just give them beds. I just don't see how a hospital 30 years later doesn't have enough beds for as many people as are having kids, and so I just... Sorry, go ahead.
Do you think it's because of a lack of beds, or is it the hospital is quite saturated with people?
It's very saturated with people. In fact, there's a lot of beds because there's even beds in the corridors with women in them, So you can see that they just run out of space. But at the same time, I just can't understand how... I mean, with the technologies that have come out, they can't have even, like the military beds, the ones that you just kind of pull out. I just keep thinking, like, why do they have to sleep on the floor? Can somebody do something? So I'm thinking right now it's an immediate need. It may not be a long-term need. Maybe they need a new wing. Maybe they just need a building so that they can house these women in more appropriate accommodations. Because I don't understand why children have to suffer. So for me, it's just really about right now an immediate need. Those ladies that I saw on the floor with their brand new babies hurt me. I felt at that moment that living in my house right now, I just think, wow, there's a lady who's sleeping on the floor at a hospital and she's just had a baby.
I understand.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I just feel like it's an immediate need. We have to do something. And we're working on it right now. In fact, we've already raised $1,000 and we're going to raise more and we're going to figure it out. We're going to figure out something. We're going to ship some stuff over there if we have to. We're going to figure something out so that hospital can have more portable beds, whatever it is. They don't have to be hospital grade because anything is better than sleeping on the floor to me right now. I just do not understand. They don't need to sleep on the floor. So we're going to figure it out,
I understand that. Totally, yeah. And you also gave them money to buy an incubator. So
oh my gosh, that was another thing that really bothered me. When these babies are born at the hospital, they don't have a transfer incubator to transfer the babies from the labor ward to the maternity ward because they're in completely different wings. And so when a baby's just been born, you don't just transfer them. You have to have some sort of way to transfer them from the labor ward to the maternity ward. And they didn't have an incubator, a transfer incubator. All their incubators were sort of like they didn't have wheels. They were just like solid structures. And I felt like, oh my gosh, so this whole time, all these babies are just transferred across the hospital. They can get sick, especially the ones who are born weak. They have to be transferred because there's more women coming who are going to have babies. And if you're not having a baby, if you already had your baby, you need to go to the maternity ward. And it's sort of like, wow, they really need something. And so at that moment, I felt, my salary here that I make is not it's not anything to write home about, I tell you that, But at the same time, that little impact I can make, and my family not going grocery shopping for a week or two, that's completely fine with me, I mean, I just feel like nowadays, everything has become so materialistic on a personal side. And after I went and visited all these different places, I realized the value of making an impact in people's lives. You don't have to do the $1 million stuff. Even the little stuff like what I did. I mean, I don't think that I possibly gave them anything that they can, make the hospital fantastic on. I'm not some sort of millionaire that gave them a wing or anything, or a hospital wing. But the impact that I think I made can probably, hopefully start a movement of people just selflessly going and just being, generous and thinking in their heart that they will live a better life knowing that they helped another person. And knowing that I'm going to help more babies be transferred to the maternity ward safely is just, my heart's singing, I'm like, oh my gosh,
Right.
You cannot put a price on how I feel about that. You cannot, And the more I do it, the more, I want to do. And so I'm just excited. I'm excited that I went and did that.
I think that your initiative was very well taken. And by the way, you definitely want to have that chain reaction from people.
Yes. Exactly.
Let me start it, and you guys, let's do this. I understand
exactly. that. Imagine if everybody just stepped forward and even gave $1. Just everybody. It doesn't even have to be, your whole paycheck or anything, If everybody just once a day did something nice for someone, helped a needy family or helped a child or just anything. Can you imagine the impact, the global impact? So for me, it's just, I've learned so much from even my trip to Kenya. I just came back with so many ideas, so much inspiration, and so I'm just blessed beyond belief.
I know, and I can hear it from you. And like I said, it only takes one person at a time. That's all it does. One person at a time. And so then you had a meeting with Kalonzo Musyoka, Kenya's vice president. Tell me, how was that? What was it for, and did you actually get the support you needed?
I really did. When I met with him, it was actually a huge surprise, I thought, oh my gosh, are you kidding me, the vice president? And so I was just so excited because I knew that he was definitely, the top, almost the top. The president is the top. But it was really a moment where I thought, you know what? I am making a difference here. I'm getting my voice heard. People are listening. And so before I met with him, I obviously had my talking points ready and I knew what I was going to push. And I'm just glad that he was so receptive. He completely understood my passion, and he completely understood what the need was. And I'm just glad that I have all that support. And he did say that I am representing Kenya, and he's glad that I'm representing Kenya in an initiative that is the future. And he sees it as a vision of where Kenya can be into the future. And so I'm just glad to have heard those words from him, and blessed to have ever met him, So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, because I think that was quite something.
Yes, it really was.
Worth recognizing, yeah.
And the fact that he accompanied me to my old school, it wasn't just a visit to his office. He came with me on one of my visits. So it's just, I was so touched. The whole time I just kept feeling goosebumps because I'm just like, oh my God, I'm Liza. I'm just Liza like every other man and woman, And I just feel like, oh my goodness, just having all the support is so empowering, It really can kick everything to the next level, and I'm just ready. I'm ready for whatever comes my way.
Well, you say that you're just a normal girl.
Yes.
And wow, Liza, you have a heart that is very much needed in our country, and it's true, you do have that heart, and it's not easy for you to sit down and listen to other people say how good you are, because of course you are humble. But again, this is one of the things that I wanted to do, is to showcase your work. The work being done by, a normal girl. And to me, that is fantastic.
I know, and I do have to say, and I watch a lot of shows, I read a lot of books, and I really feel like people who have, had a little bit of adversity in their life, or even a lot of adversity in their life, I think they always come out, feeling a little bit brighter. I feel like I look at everything that's ever happened to me, and I think, I wouldn't be that kind of a person if that wouldn't have happened to me. Like my business, for example. I wouldn't be the person I am today if my business wouldn't have, I wouldn't say it failed, because it's still a strong business going forward, but if my business wouldn't have been faced with adversity. Because right now, we're at a point where we're maximizing on every resource. Like there's nowhere where you can say that we're not being completely, perfect with the use of the resources we have in our company. It's just amazing, because I would never have learned the lessons that I've learned about running a business, I would never have learned the lessons I've learned about life, And so there's just so many opportunities when you see adversities to learn. And so for me, sometimes the message is, when you see that door close, when you see something negative happen, that's a lesson. Don't look at it as, oh my gosh, I'm the unluckiest person. No, you should think, I'm the luckiest person. This is happening to me. I get to learn from this, and I get to be a better person. So I'm just glad.
Okay. I just love the way you speak, girl. And
wow, thank you.
I love it, because oh my goodness, you need to have some seminars. I know that you're a speaker too. So
yes, I am. Yeah,
very
and
good.
I love it. Oh my gosh, I speak a lot here in Corpus Christi. I go to a lot of schools. In fact, a lot of teachers ask me to come and speak to their girls in business and technology classes. Because a lot of times, I remember when I was going to school, you're kind of shy, and you think you can't do it, and I feel like, God, when I speak to these girls, I see their faces light up. They ask good questions, and sometimes they ask me questions, and I'm like, I don't know the answer to that, and that's when I know, that's a special girl right there. And so I love sharing my story, and I never actually go in there thinking that I'm going to inspire anyone. I just go in there and tell my story, tell where I came from and how I did what I did, and you just see their faces light up like, she's just like me, you know, they just look at me like, you're not this special person, you're just Liza, and I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm just me, and you can be whoever you want to be too, you know, you can live your best life. So yeah, I love speaking.
What was your most touching moment? I know you went to a school in Mbagadi.
Mbagadi way. Mm-hmm.
And you donated towards their water.
Right. I went to Ongatarongai Primary School, and that school, it's just amazing. I went to Brookhouse School, which is across the bridge from Ongatarongai. And Ongatarongai is a school that actually doesn't even have electricity there. And they have a lot of girls who go to school there, and sometimes they skip school because they don't have the personal hygiene products, and sometimes they actually end up dropping out altogether, and as well as food is such a problem there because some students actually end up not coming to school because they're so hungry or they have to go work to feed the family. And one of the things that they were really lacking, and this was just something that I heard when the head teacher was taking us around the school, is they're building water tanks is what they were doing. They're putting water tanks up because what they've been having to do was actually bring water in and pay for the water to be transported to the school because they didn't have any water tanks. So they thought of just putting water tanks. And they were so close to being able to put these water tanks up. And I thought, hey, why don't we just do it before the end of the year so that next year, you know, they have enough water for the entire school. So for me, it was just every time we went to a school, I knew what my point was. My point was to go learn what the need was so that I can implement my technology integration, you know, at the level that they need and not necessarily what's in my head. It's really what the individual school needs. But also, I was so touched by all the stories, and I just saw that there's so many opportunities for immediate need. And I know that I can't be the person to provide everything. My passion is children and technology, but children need so much more than just technology. You know, they need food, they need shelter, they need a safe environment to live in. And so I feel like, gosh, you know, the little things that I can do can show other people in other organizations that they can make an impact too. Because, you know, for example, we got Milo, Nestle, to come and donate food. You know, they donated lots of Milo for the whole school. So all the kids, when they come in the morning, they can have at least a cup of Milo, you know. If they didn't have lunch, if they didn't have dinner or breakfast, they can have some Milo. And then some snacks were donated as well. And Premium Milk donated milk to the school. So I think for me, it was more of, you know, I saw that there was a need in one school, and I thought, why am I going by myself? Let's call these people and see if they'll come. And I was just shocked. There's nobody we asked who said no. And so, you know, there's just so many opportunities to help all children. And I can't provide it all, but I'm glad that I'm spotlighting that it's providing the technology is great, but it doesn't start there. You know, it starts with providing the whole, you know, need that every child needs to lead a healthy and productive life.
I totally agree. I think that the basic needs, and I know you also went to a school that did not even have a toilet. The toilet had broken down.
They didn't have a girls' toilet. All the kids were using the same boys' toilet, okay? Girls. Can you imagine girls using the same toilet as boys? I just couldn't imagine, you know? And so their girls' toilet had, I guess it was broken, and they hadn't fixed it for like a long time. And I thought, this is ridiculous, you know? How is a school supposed to be operating when girls and boys are sharing bathrooms? You know, I just didn't see that that was right, you know? Especially as a girl, as a young girl, you may have just gone into your, you know, menstrual time, you know, and you're confused and you're nervous and you're still having to go to school, and then, hello, there's a boy in your bathroom, you know, so it's just, oh my God, I just couldn't imagine. So I felt like I just needed to do something immediately because it's not complicated. Just give them a restroom, you know, give them a place to go.
I know, and you did it. You know, I saw how, you know, you are very well, what can I say, appreciated and very well welcomed into this society at large. And I saw the poem recitals and all that good stuff. So I think that you did a fantastic job, personally.
Yes, it was nice to see the faces, and you know, when they was reciting those poems with my name in them, I was like, oh my God, like they must have practiced this, you know?
I saw you tearing up.
Wow. I know, because it was just so touching. Because, I mean, these kids, you know, the conditions that they have to go to school in, first of all. You know, when you visit some of the, like, can you imagine, I don't know if you've been to Kibera, but, you know, it's a school in the middle of Kibera. I mean, there's nothing really, it's just a few walls and a roof. They have a container for a library, and I just felt like, oh my God, and they were so proud of it, and I felt like, oh my gosh, these kids are so smart, and apparently these kids compete at the highest level with other kids who go to private schools, they are so smart, apparently they actually beat these other kids. And I just thought, even when you're faced with adversity, you can, that's where innovation really, I think, begins. Because imagine providing these kids with these little resources, providing them with the leg up, providing them with technology and showing them how to program. Imagine what they will come up with, if they can do what they're doing with the resources they have there, at Kibera, no electricity, no running water, no toilet for the girls, and if you can just give them that little, you can just show them the future, imagine what they can create, imagine the possibilities. So for me, it was just so touching to know that they had taken the time to, recite those poems. I just felt so touched. I was so touched.
Gosh. You make me want to just go there and do something also, do something for our country. I watched them. I watched them do a recital for you. And, I noticed that was in Kibera. Nobody had to tell me. That was Kibera.
They're in there. It's not even like, we're not pretending. We actually had to drive inside, and then we had to walk. It wasn't like anything like fake, it was in Kibera. This guy, Pastor Wellington, he started this school, and he is just an incredible man, he even touched me, and I felt more inspired by meeting him. He started his school by picking up 3 street kids and taking his school kids out of their public school and starting a school in Kibera with 3 of his kids and 3 street kids. Can you imagine? He saw a need where he thought these street kids don't have a school, and he thought, I'm going to start the school. And he pulled his own kids as well from school so that they could go to school with street kids. Can you believe that? This guy was amazing. And his wife, to allow him to do that, I can imagine if my husband came home and told me, yeah, we're going to move our 2 kids from going to regular school to start a new school with these street kids, I think I would have probably gone, what? You crazy?
I know.
And she just went with it. And to know that now they have, so many kids that they have kids in high school. I actually got to meet kids who graduated from that school, and they're going above and beyond. And I'm just so blessed because I know that I can make a big impact by one helping kids there. So for me, I know that Anajali Primary School, we're going to be friends forever.
I know, because I was just about to say that was Anajali Primary School. Wow. So let's talk about, oh my goodness, your visit to Brook House. You went to school there. You talked to the students. It is a high-end kind of school, isn't it?
Oh my gosh. Brook House 2010 is nothing like Brook House that I graduated in 1998. Let me tell you, this school, I swear, you wish the best for everyone, and you wish, the school that you went to can become great, and, they can continue being awesome. But I never imagined what I went and saw at the Brook House of today. That school has, I think, exceeded any sort of targets that they could have possibly set. It is like the state-of-the-art school. I have not seen a school like it in America. I have not even heard of a school like it in America. I kid you not. I walked into the computer lab because, for me, the computers are all about, it's everything. For me, that's the most exciting thing. I walked into the computer lab, and I'm not lying when I say this. This is the truth, the God's honest truth. It's like walking into Star Trek. When you see Star Trek and the doors open, like they slide open, and it's like a blue, light in the background, sort of like acrylic, and you kind of walk in, and it's like, shh, and you walk in. That's exactly how it is to access their computer lab. And when you walk in there, the way the computers are set up, brand new Macs, it was really like walking into a spaceship, and everybody was taking their seat in a space, space adventure. The floor was like a glass floor, and it had the world in it. So like the globe was like inside the floor, and then there was glass on top of it, so you're walking on top of the glass. So you're like walking on the world. I mean, just the details in that computer lab. And that's not even the only computer lab. So for me, I mean, their library has a tree in it, and it has a winding staircase around it, so that the kids can have an environment where they feel like in touch with nature.
But let me ask you this. Do you think that they really appreciate this school, the students?
I'm glad you brought that up because I think they probably do appreciate it because I could tell in their faces that they knew that this was their school and it was good, you know. But after speaking with one of the teachers said that if we were going to school, as in he was meaning us 1998 graduates, you know, if we were going to school, that we would have probably appreciated more, you know, than those kids who, you know, grew up in that kind of life. You know, of course, if you grow up knowing that there's zebras and giraffes and whatever in your school and you have waterfalls in your school, then you're just accustomed to it. So there's nothing really to appreciate. It's just normal, you know? And so, I mean, I can't really say anything about the kids not appreciating it because if it was taken away, I'm sure they would miss it. But they probably don't know any better, you know? They just know that their school has that. But, I mean, it was just amazing. Amazing.
You know what would be good? Is to take some of those children and take them to the Anajali Primary School and tell them this is reality. This is reality to a lot of people, yeah. And I'm happy to hear that Brookhouse is doing a very good job there. And that is where you got your scholarship, your Texas A&M scholarship in Corpus Christi?
Yes, I used to play golf at Brookhouse. I used to represent Brookhouse sometimes in some tournaments. During high school. And then I started playing more and more golf after my dad passed away, and I ended up qualifying for the women's golf team, Kenya women's golf team. And so I represented Kenya internationally at different tournaments, and then that's how I got my scholarship to Texas A&M University in Corpus Christi. I do have to say Brookhouse was such a strong support system for me as far as golf goes, because they even used to let me skip school sometimes to go play a tournament. So it was just amazing to know that there was a school that was so supportive of my extracurriculum activity.
Okay, and how popular was golf back in those days?
It was pretty popular. I think for me, I've just always grown up with golf in my family. So, I mean, my dad has always played golf. He started off as a caddy, you know, in Limuru, earning 5 shillings a day. And eventually became, you know, legendary golfer in Kenya, winning championships in all golf courses. And so, for me, golf has always been part of our family. And I've just never ever experienced where there wasn't a lot of golf. There was a lot of kids playing golf too. And so, yeah, I had a lot of golf friends. So we all just used to play golf together.
Wow.
I do have to say about Brookhouse, one of the things that touched me is they're doing exactly what I want to do. They're actually launching, and they're working on launching on an ICT bus, a mobile ICT bus, just like what I was thinking about and what we are working on. And so it's just amazing because now I get to collaborate with my old school on a project, and I'm just so amazed. In fact, we're planning a pilot program with them of incorporating the model that we have here for teaching elementary and middle school kids. We're actually working on a pilot program to do a test, sort of like a semester test, and see how the kids do at the end, and then use that data to try to get some sort of initiative going Kenya nationwide. But it's just amazing. I love knowing that I have the support of my old school. It's just great.
Absolutely. And I'm happy to hear that you have some great stuff lined up for you, especially also in Kenya, and see how that pilot program works. Now, we go back now to The Apprentice. And my first question would be, what made you think? What inspired you? How did you think of becoming a contestant in season 10 of The Apprentice?
I saw a call to action. When Mr. Trump said he wanted to hear stories of how people have been affected by the recession, to me that was a call to action. It was at a moment when I had lost 2 contracts and a third was just hanging, you know. And I felt, oh my God, you know, I've built this business. I'm getting ready to lay off people now because I don't have classes for them to teach. And I just felt like the recession has affected my business, you know, and in a negative way. And I told my story, and I never thought that I would get on The Apprentice show. I think I was writing all that stuff down because I just wanted to write it. You know, sometimes you just kind of have to put it on paper or something, and then it's gone, you know, then you're okay with it, you know, kind of like yelling and then you're done, you know. And so for me, I just felt like, oh, I just have to tell. So I told my story and forgot about it. In fact, I never thought that I would be on The Apprentice. And when they did ask me to be on The Apprentice, it wasn't a quick decision. I actually went back and forth. I wrote down all the positives, all the negatives, and between my husband and I, we decided that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and I should not turn it down. Otherwise, I was not actually looking forward to actually being on TV because I'm not a TV kind of girl. I just never thought that I would be in the spotlight like that, but it was important. It was important to me because the number one thing that always came out as being strong was the fact that I needed to tell my story. I really needed people to see that I have been faced with adversity, and I loved how the show started off as giving a second chance, you know. I really felt that, you know, a lot of people do need that second chance, and maybe not so much a second chance, they need somebody to show them that their adversity is really not a bad thing. Their adversity is really an opportunity to be better, an opportunity to be more successful. And so I felt like I have to go and tell the story and be myself, and I think that is what really, really inspired me to go on the show.
Okay, and so you write your story and you submit your story. How long does it take for them to get back to you once you've submitted it? How does that work?
Mr. Trump wanted to hear stories of how people have been affected by the recession. Mm-hmm. So when I told my story, it wasn't that I was expecting anything back, to be honest. It was more of he just wanted to hear stories. So maybe I thought one day he might be talking and say, yeah, and I heard of this girl in Corpus Christi, you know, and I just thought, hey, that's me. You know, I thought that maybe that's what it was about. And so I never thought that I was sitting waiting to be on The Apprentice. So when I got a call from this lady, Heather, from The Apprentice, I was shocked, you know. I was like, oh my God, you know, The Apprentice. And so I just think for me it was great because I was never actually sitting back waiting to be on this TV show. It was never ever a moment when I was just counting down the days, like, oh, they haven't called in a month, they haven't called in this long. And I'm also the kind of person who has told my story in a lot of different ways. Any opportunity that I have to write about myself and tell about what's going on in my life, I have actually taken those opportunities because it just has always seemed that whether it's something to do with my church when they've asked for stories about life, you know, I've always been telling my story. And then obviously when this opportunity came up with Mr. Trump, I'll tell my story again. So I feel like, wow, you know, this time my story is being told in a bigger way than I expected.
Mm-hmm. And what was your experience during the whole qualifying session? I'm sure there were lots of people there.
Well, most of it is interviews. And so you go and interview and they ask you a lot of questions and they're kind of trying to push your buttons a little bit because they want to see how you react under pressure. And I really enjoyed that experience. We did a few debates here and there with a few girls and, you know, they just want to see how you speak and how you defend yourself if you're attacked. And for me, I felt like the experience, it was more time-consuming than grueling. I mean, yeah, it was tough in those interviews, and it was tough, you know, debating. But at the end of the day, I'll be completely honest with you. When I was going through the process of interviewing, I never actually thought I was going to make it, and I never actually thought if I did make it that I was actually really going to do it. Because I have 2 young boys, okay? And, I mean, a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, they really need their mommy. And then so I really felt like there's no way I can be gone for that long. So I'm just going to enjoy this, you know. I'm just going to have fun, you know. This is great, you know. I'm here almost on The Apprentice, and I'm just going to have a great time. And I think for me that was the best thing that could have happened because I really took myself out of the fact that this is serious and I need to get on the show. It was more of, oh my God, that's Mr. Trump in front of me, you know, and oh my gosh, I'm interviewing. And so I was just more excited about the process than nervous about it. So I think for me that I'm just blessed that that happened that way.
Yeah, and I think that was very good because whatever the outcome, you'd be just fine with it.
And I was actually prepared. Every single day when they were cutting people, I was waiting for them to come and cut me. You know, I kept thinking, oh, they probably didn't like me. They're going to cut me, you know. And so every day that I wasn't getting cut was like, oh, yeah, I'm still here, you know. It wasn't anything like, oh, my God, they better not cut me. Oh, my God, they better not cut me. Because for me, I really felt like whether they cut me or not, it didn't matter because the decision to actually go on the show was going to be tough because I have 2 kids and I have a full-time job. I was going to have to explain to my boss where I'm going for 6 weeks. And, you know, it was just not an easy decision to make. And then also I knew if I would have gone, I would have to go and leave without pay. And anybody knows what it's like to not go with a paycheck, especially living in America. You really need the 2 paychecks. And so I just, I was at a point where I was like, oh my God, you know, how am I going to do this? And so, yeah, I was sort of free, I think. I was free from the stress of making it so I could be myself.
Mm-hmm. And you're the only one we know who has actually been somebody that we have talked to who's been on a reality show, especially here in America, who can tell us the experience. Now, do they pay you?
Oh my gosh, no. In fact, I still have a credit card from Macy's that I'm paying off because, first of all, they don't pay you to be on the show. And then secondly, of course, I took a leave without pay. So my husband and I had to pay our health insurance on top of not getting a paycheck. I had to pay my own health insurance, which was like $1,000 for me and my boys and my family. So an extra $1,000 plus no paycheck. Plus, they don't even pay for your clothes or anything. So I had to go buy, like, I don't live a life of having fabulous clothes and suits and, and just be corporate every day. I don't dress like that all the time. And so I wanted to look great on TV. So, of course, I didn't know that I had to buy my own clothes, but as soon as I realized it, I thought, I'm not going to go on TV looking weird. So I went and bought clothes. And so, the show has cost me money. It really cost me money. But like I said, I keep telling everyone, I'm like, I will pay that credit card down as fast as I can, obviously, but I could not put a price on the opportunity that The Apprentice gave me.
Well, in my opinion, I think that it's it's really unfortunate that they don't pay you. I don't even know how you're supposed to survive. And obviously they are making money from the show.
Yeah, it really is. And you know what? I went into this thing knowing that they weren't going to pay me. So it's not like it was a surprise, They tell you right off the bat that you're going on the show and you're not getting paid until you win. Like, only the winner gets paid, And so it wasn't anything to me that I felt like gypped or anything, because I already knew from the very beginning that I wasn't going to get paid. So, I tell you, I would have probably paid money to do this. I think people would pay to be on The Apprentice. I kid you not. They'll probably make money from people paying to be on the show.
I know.
Because it's an amazing experience. And I think for me going into the show, I was more excited about being on TV, I think. And when I left the show, I realized it wasn't the TV experience. It was the experience of the work, the environment, the lessons learned, just all that, just put in a, one situation where for 6 weeks, it's like pressure cooker situation, only the best will rise to the top. And I just felt like, wow, I really made it happen.
Well, I think that you did. And what would you say would be something you learned about yourself with all this, season 10 of The Apprentice?
It really gave me the confidence. I felt like I was put in so many situations where I had to really assert myself and really go back to why I was on The Apprentice. And the moment, I think it was like the third episode, I actually sat in my room that night. I didn't sleep except for like an hour. But the whole night, I didn't have the TV on or anything. I just literally sat up and wrote. And I wrote so much. And it started going into stories of my past. I started writing about my past. And just stories of home and stories of my dad and stories of even Brookhouse, stuff that happened in Brookhouse. And I realized that this thing is not really about being the best corporate person or being the best, business person. It's really being about the best person, period. Because being The Apprentice doesn't mean that you know everything. It doesn't mean that you're an expert in every single thing. It just means that you're true to yourself and you're honest and you're loyal and you're willing to learn. And the moment I realized that, and the moment that I realized that my past is really what has brought me here, then I realized that I can just let it all go and just be myself. I don't have to be the expert marketing person. I don't have to be the expert graphic designer, I can be not so good at it, but I can still be The Apprentice. And for me, it was just an opportunity to show that even though you're not the best at everything, you can still strive to be the best. And that's really what the life that I'm leading. I'm really trying to just strive to be the best at everything. And if I accomplish it, great. But at least I know through the whole journey that I was striving for it. And so, yeah, for me, it was just that realization that you don't have to be the best at everything, Liza. You don't have to be the best salesperson. You don't have to be the best at everything. You just have to try harder than everyone, And so, yeah, that was the best thing.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I love about you, Liza, is the fact that you're very optimistic and that you actually learned something about yourself through this whole experience on The Apprentice, season 10. During your exit interview, you mentioned and you said and predicted that Brandy was going to win.
I know. And I was in tears, too. The whole time I'm crying because I just got fired. And I don't even know how they pulled that exit interview together because the whole interview, I was in tears. Like, every question they asked me would make me cry, It was just, the first they would ask me, okay, what are you going to do when you go home? And then I would just start crying because then I'm thinking of my family. And then they would ask, how do you feel about being fired? Well, obviously I'd start crying because, they do that interview immediately after you're fired. So you don't even have time to go back and think of anything. So for me, it was true emotions when I was speaking. It was the truth that I actually really strongly felt that Brandy was so strong, And for me, I do feel like I underestimated myself. And I feel like I was at a point where I was like, wow, I made it this far and that's fantastic. But I really shouldn't have underestimated myself. I really should have seen it through. And so, yeah, I was just blessed to be the one that called it. Yay.
And that was a very good call, yes. Brandy won. I'm curious to know how you feel about this. One of the girls who, towards the end of the show, said that she's in a team that you were in. She said that I'm in a team with Dumb and Dumber. Talk to me about that.
Oh, yes.
And I felt really, really bad at that point. I literally almost choked her if I was anywhere close to her.
Well, I know, to be honest, I had no idea that she was saying stuff like that, because everything that she was saying like that, I guess, with that kind of tone, was in her interviews. When she was talking to me and when we were talking together, and I never ever got that feeling from her. I never ever got the feeling that she's working with Dumb and Dumber, I just felt like we worked well together, and of course I guess I was wrong, So it's sort of one of those situations where you're like, oh, I guess, it's not always as it seems,
Yeah.
You may be working with coworkers who think they think you're fantastic, and then behind your back they're talking about you. And so, yeah, so it was kind of an eye-opener for me.
And one of the things that I caught is when Kim Kardashian's task came on, and you mentioned it to them and said, this is really tacky. You said it. I was even thinking that just before you even said anything.
Yeah. Poppy and Stephanie, it's so funny because the whole task, we were going through it and we were pitching ideas back and forth, and I was just kind of going with some of what they were saying, and I gave my ideas, and actually some of my ideas were not liked, and so they didn't happen. But they were so excited about the bedazzling and the glue gunning and all that, and I've just never done that kind of stuff before, and so I felt like, okay, I guess that's what they think is going to work, But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, this isn't going to work. But of course, they were just ready to do it, and they were a team, they were just so excited about it, and I had gotten to the point where I really knew sort of how to, making conflict in those kinds of situations where obviously I was the odd man out, was not going to help me, go towards the end of the show. So I knew everything that I was doing sometimes in the tasks was very strategic. I knew that it wasn't my place to start changing minds because they were so excited about their idea. And I mean, sometimes I would even go, are you sure you want to do this? And they would ask me for my opinion. I'd be like, no, you just go right ahead and do your thing, and just get it done, because we just had to finish. And so, we had a great idea. I think our product is what was wrong. It was the idea that was classic. We had a great idea. The concept was just fantastic. It's just the execution that just fell short, Too much of the bedazzling stuff, I think.
Mm-hmm. And do they give you the funding for such projects?
They did. They give us a lot of funding. Everybody gets tons of money. I can't remember how much we got for that particular task, but it was a lot. We always got enough money. It was well over, maybe sometimes even 10,000 even, It was really, we always got tons of money. So in a task, it was never that we never had money for it. We always got money.
Mm-hmm. Now, Donald Trump really liked you. In fact, it was quite evident while we were watching the show. Why do you think that many of the contestants really felt that you were the weakest link?
I think for me, I did have really good ideas a lot of times when, even after the task, I felt like, gosh, if they would have just gone with my idea, we might have won, But it's just sometimes, you just feel like you don't want to beat the bush, okay, they already said they don't like the idea. It's already clear that they don't like the idea, so why are you going to get into an argument over something? And most of the time, I wasn't even the project manager. So it wasn't my decision to say whether we're going to move forward with that idea or not. So I think sometimes, just coming from a different culture, I think, as a Kenyan, I guess, maybe we're not as, I don't want to blanket the whole of Kenya, so let me not even say that. Maybe me personally, my upbringing was never confrontational. I don't think I was ever brought up in a confrontational upbringing. And so when my ideas are not taken, I never take it personally. In fact, there's been so many situations where I've actually had to execute projects that I didn't believe in, but I had to do them, I believed in them because it was part of my job. And sometimes, I kid you not, sometimes at the end of the project, I always go back and think, you know what? This was pretty cool. But in the beginning, I hated it, So I always try to see the positive, And so I think in the tasks, when I was going through them and my ideas weren't being taken, it wasn't ever that I felt, oh, I hate these people, they're not taking my ideas. It was more of, well, you know what? There's always 5 ways to do things. You can't always be the person with the brilliant idea of there's 5 ways to get to point A from point A to point B, And so if somebody else's idea is going to take us there, then you know what? I'm on that boat too. We're going to do it together. I'm going to work as hard as I can. So
Fantastic.
yeah, I'm glad that my past experience has helped me see that.
Wow. It has been a pleasure talking to you. Your spirit, you are very energetic. You've got a dream, and I know that you will be very successful. One of the last questions I had for you is, when you went home, and this is when you are providing, when you are, donating to a certain cause in Kenya, does it ever cross your mind to think about the leadership in that country? Because every constituency has got a leader. And when you're giving towards building a toilet for girls to use instead of them using a toilet that is used by boys, my question is to you, do you ever think about the leadership that is there? And do you ever wonder why they've not stepped up and helped?
You know what? It's funny, but I never actually did. I think... obviously to me, I'm thinking, we have a government, and obviously the government is us. It's the people, and I've never been a politician kind of girl, I pay attention to politics, but not as much as, I guess people who really call themselves, people who love politics are into it as much. And I've never been the kind of person who just, really analyze, every single detail about how the government operates. I just kind of think of it as, it's me. If I'm not doing it, then I've failed, And when I went there, it wasn't like, oh, the Minister of Education or the Minister of Children needs to do this, It's not even about that, because if we're the government, then we need to do it. We have to be able to set the standard. We have to start a movement where we're telling people that, okay, look, if you want the government officials to work hard, well, then you have to show them how you want them to work hard. So if we had a lot of people who were, doing the work that I was doing, sort of like visiting schools and just randomly giving a donation, they're going to start looking bad, So they're going to start doing more. And so for me, it's more of putting a spotlight on things that people can do in their own regular lives. Like I said, it's not about doing big things, because if everybody did something little, it would become something big. Imagine if everyone who could afford it just picked up one child in Anajali and said that I will provide whatever it takes to provide this one child in Anajali 3 meals a day. And I'm sure it doesn't even cost that much. It probably costs like a soda, Every soda that you drink, you just donate that soda so that that child, can have a meal, a good solid meal 3 times a day. And if every single person just thought that, I just want to donate to one child, can you imagine how many children would be impacted? The whole of Anajali Primary School would be taken care of, and then the next school, and then the next school, and then what's going to happen? The government's going to see, and the government is us, going to see that there is a need for helping children nutritionally. They need food so they can go to school, so affordable food for the school. And so, I think it would start a movement. And for me, it really starts with the person. And you can't give, and you can't give yourself if you don't want to. I've been in so many situations where I think people have felt like they don't want to give, and don't ever give if you don't want to, because then that's just negative giving, Then you're going to be grumbling about it, and you're going to be thinking about it late at night. Why did I give? Why did I give? You never want to give if you don't want to. So if you don't want to give, don't give. Maybe it's not the time. But if you feel the need, then, give. It's just going to make you happier.
Yes, you got it. Thank you so much for availing yourself for the Real Talk Show here at Karisan Media. And I appreciate it very much.
No, it was a pleasure. Thanks for asking to interview me. I feel honored that people want to hear my stories.
And your story will be heard. Thank you so much for being a part of us. And please keep us informed with everything else that you're doing. We are very interested to see your progress.
Okay, that sounds fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. That was Liza Wisner, Season 10 of The Apprentice. Thanks for tuning in on The Real Talk Show here at Karisan Media. Stay tuned for more Real Talk shows coming up. We appreciate your support here at Karisan Media and glad that you could join us. Till next time, take care of yourselves and each other. God bless you.